Welcome back, folks, to the second part of the Yorkshire EV Club meeting. And I'm going to go to John Timmins, stood in a field, our correspondent on the tour.
Yeah, so one of the things I was just going to talk about is how the likelihood is that especially used prices of cars are going to come down in the next kind of few weeks. So what we're seeing is that dealerships are starting to open up again. They are going to have to sell a reasonable number of cars just to get the cash flow going. So it's not about necessarily profitability, they need that cash coming in. They have got a lot of cars that they will have got back from PCPs that they will have had, and trade-ins that have just been lying around for a while. So they'll need to get rid of that stock. Now, the usual route to get rid of that stock would have been to send it to car auctions, but car auctions haven't been really open in any kind of great volume for quite a while. They can't really deal with the amount of volume that they usually would have gone through anyhow. So you've got a lot of dealers with these cars in stock. You've also got a lot of PCP and lease deals from kind of large manufacturers that are having theirs returned back, just at the kind of usual rate. But then there will also be some people who just now can't afford it, who will just have handed back their cars. So this is all going to put pressure on prices. We're already seeing the prices fall on a number of cars, especially kind of petrol and diesels. This isn't going to affect EVs as much because there is a demand for them. But from those people that are starting to look, so like John and Paul, starting to look for electric vehicles now, there's probably a lot of good deals out there in the next kind of give it a couple of weeks probably for the prices to really be realised. But there'll be a lot of good offers, I think, available out there.
Right. So, so should I hold back for a few weeks? Maybe should I hold back 2 or 3 weeks before I look again, or?
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, have a look. And at the end of the day, if there's a really good deal out there, it's a really good deal out there. So there are people who will start selling them on cheap prices immediately. Now, because it's an EV as well, and there may be dealers which don't normally sell EVs, some of the prices might actually be overinflated because people don't really know, have never really dealt with these products before, or don't really know what they're selling. But you may also get some bargains. Just dramatic case in terms of my Leaf was a bargain because the dealership that I was in didn't know what they'd got. So the car should have been about £1,000 more just because of the specification of it. But they didn't know the specification. They just kind of guessed. So it should have been more. So there will be a lot of people out there who are having EVs maybe for the first time.
Right.
And there might be some more bargains.
The problem with my sister is that at the moment, because of the COVID situation, they've not asked for the vehicle back. What she's currently got is a Tiguan. And she's worried that they'll ask for the vehicle back and she'll have to hand it over and she'll be like sort of wheelless. So she just feels slightly under pressure to get something.
Yeah, that's forward planning as well, though. You've got to plan for it, so yeah.
Yeah.
I think, John, you've got the luxury of a couple of weeks, a little bit of time to do your research on which financial model suits you. And I'm not hung up on owning a car anymore. It doesn't bother me if I own it or not. I've got one I own and one that's on PCP, but even the one I own has got a battery lease on it. As long as it's affordable to me, I'm not fussed about owning it. I have to be honest.
I think it's just the paranoid type in me, really. It's basically saying, is there a chance that anyone can take this thing off my hands? Yes, in that case, all the alarm bells start ringing. But again, like I say, I've never done it before, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, what I'd say, Paul, about the kind of the PCP deal in terms of the handing back the car for your sister, the likelihood is that if they do contact them about kind of giving the car back, if you actually phone them back, they will likely give you a longer time because they haven't really got the transport infrastructure back up again. And a lot of the places where these cars would go back from the kind of PCP and lease deals, those places are full to the brim of 2-3 months of cars that have been handed back from PCP and lease deals. They've had nowhere else to go, so they haven't really got many places to store it. So it's a good situation to be in terms of like, if they do want it back, they will probably just and you go, oh well, I haven't got a car at the moment. They may well just reschedule it for 2-3 weeks, maybe even a month's time, because it's just a capacity issue.
Well,
Yeah,
as I said,
I think you said, Paul, is it a Motability car, Paul? Because
yeah, it was on a partner, Steve's, who's obviously passed away. It's been, it's been, well, we go to the funeral on Tuesday. It will have been a month then. But she's
as far as I'm aware, talking to colleagues, the Motability scheme is not up and running yet, so they're not accepting returns back, because generally those returns are made to a local dealer, so you can take it back to a local dealer that's participating in the scheme. But obviously they'll need to bring in protocols to accept cars back in before obviously then Motability themselves pick them up. And then what Motability do with them, they then advertise the cars to dealers for sale. And obviously at the moment, as John said, there'll be a glut of cars about. So obviously auction prices will be devalued. So some people will wait until obviously that glut's gone. But equally, Motability generally are very good. They don't like to see people struggle or in difficulty or without transport. So they'll always look to help out where they can.
Right. So I could tell her that there's no need to press the big red panic button yet then.
No, because as I say, the scheme's not running yet, where they haven't switched it back on, shall we say? So they can't, at the moment, dealers can't take cars back in from Motability customers. And again, once I'm back at work, obviously I'll be able to find out more. But as far as I'm aware, that's not happening at the moment.
Yeah, what I'd say is I'd always have the conversation. So you should always contact the people and have that common conversation, because the vast majority of companies, in the normal situation, but let alone now, are aware of kind of situations, and everyone's got an individual circumstances, and they will come to reasonable, sensible arrangements. What you don't want them to be doing is knocking on your door, demanding things, because that's too stressful. When you could just easily pick up the phone, have a conversation, and come to arrangement, and then you know when you're going to have to hand it back in.
Well,
you know what situation.
Get it in writing.
Yeah. So pick up the phone and get it in writing about the handing date.
Yeah.
And then you know a deadline, don't you?
She has spoke to him on the phone. Obviously, I don't think her head were in the right place when she spoke to him, but all they said was, "We'll be in touch." That's all they said.
The ball's in their court. That's the main thing. Make sure the ball's in their court.
Yeah.
And again, Motability, the nicest, most customer-focused people I've dealt with in the car industry. They really are very helpful. Can't do enough. They're very, very polite on the phone. And as I say, they will look at circumstance. They won't see people without car if the car. But at the end of the day, at some point, obviously that car does have to come back, because the agreement obviously now is lapsed with the death.
Yeah.
But they'll be very softly, especially if there's a death involved, Paul. I think she's got the luxury of time. No one's going to bang the door down.
Right. I'll tell her that. Oh, well, she can watch this anyhow, because I'll forward it to her. So if she's got the patience.
Give her our love, and the club's always open if she wants to talk about options or anything.
Yeah. Happy for anyone to get in touch and things like that. Anyone of sure to help out.
And I think that is the case, that because we've got such a wide variety of EVs between us, if anybody does, is out there looking and they want some specific advice on a Peugeot or a Nissan or a Renault, it's just to contact the club, join the club, contact us. You don't have to have an EV to join the club. We want people to join the club that don't have EVs, or that are looking or are interested, or maybe slightly interested. And just go on the Facebook page, Twitter, ask the question, and one of the members will come back to you and give you that advice. Because again, we've all got probably many years experience between us, many different cars that we've driven between us, and we can give that advice out there. And again, it's not suitable for everybody, but you know, vast majority of people, unless you're doing mega miles, an EV is suitable.
Yeah, an EV is more suitable for most people than a petrol car, because most people do mileage in the town, and they were actually wearing out their car a lot more than they should be doing, basically. And
Absolutely, no one will shoot you down either. No one will shoot you down in our club. No question is too daft. Yeah, you know, it's a good atmosphere, and we like questions.
Yeah, we've all asked those daft questions to ourselves and to other people in the past as well.
Yeah, and I'm still in.
Yeah. We've all been there with the Nissan. Yeah, we've all been there with the Nissan Leaf with the what is it now? Where the CD player is, where the dash sort of comes out halfway, and you think to yourself, "Well, what have I done here?"
What engineer thought that was a good idea, eh?
Yeah, Darren. I spent ages looking in book for that, because I thought, what's up with this? It's sort of at an angle, and it won't go back. You know, it's that's one of the things that caught me out with my first 30 kilowatt I had.
Hey, there is a reason for that. There is a reason for that. It's people living in really sunny places, so not the UK mainly. That's it, apart from today.
Right.
So it's supposed to be so that if you get reflection on the screen, that you tilt it so you can actually see what's on it.
Oh, do you know what? I wish I had that. I wish I had that. I've replaced the radio in my car, digressing ever so slightly. My old car radio is on the shelf behind me. I've put a MP3, Bluetooth and whatnot in it, and that is my biggest problem with it, in that the front is so glossy you can't read it during the daytime because the sun just shines off it. Exactly the same problem.
Well, that's all right, John, because you shouldn't be looking at your radio while driving anyway. It's only when you park.
There's always one in there. Thanks, Ivan.
I'm tilting. I've got my my radio thingy screen on in a Nissan Leaf tilted for that very reason. I wish it could tilt sideways as well, because it only tilts up and down. But you know,
maybe the next model.
I used to get calls from people who said, "I've broken my screen. I can't get my screen back in. It's broken. It's stuck out."
Yeah.
Yeah, that little button is irritating. The way it's pressed, and then you press again, and what a pain in the...
Again, yeah.
The worst thing is when you accidentally press the button and the whole thing just tilts out, and you're like, "What just happened?" And I've done this a few times, and I know what it is, but you're still like, "What?"
Yeah. Funny you were saying about Ian about the mileage and stuff. About low mileage. We're on the kind of opposite spectrum in terms of the cars that we're looking at. That's why we're looking at Peugeot. We're actually, we worked out to do probably about 2,000 miles a month, because, just we've got a really busy schedule when we're not in lockdown. And we looked at all the different cars, and the Peugeot, even with, say the best case scenario is 180 miles, we worked out we'd do 75 miles a day. So a charge every 2 days would be perfect for us. And because you've got a charger at home, you basically drive out your drive with a full battery every day. So, and it would probably cost, I think I worked out about £3 or £4 per day to charge. That's nothing compared with the mileage with an ICE car. We are spending, I think it was about £3,000 or £4,000 a year on fuel alone, and that's both of us, not just my wife's car or my car. So when we looked at EVs, it was just a no-brainer. We'd spend a third each on electric. So I can't wait to get an EV, to be honest. It's just, it makes sense. People who don't understand how much money it's going to save, I feel sorry for them, because come 25, they're going to have to go to an EV, whether they like it or not.
I think that there's a change from the early days when I started selling EVs. The range wasn't there. So you had to be very careful to not push, but you had to be very careful when you're talking to people about the daily journeys. And originally, you know, your first Leaf had a range of 60 to 80 miles. So it didn't suit people as much as the latest range of EVs, where, you know, you're doing nigh on sort of 200 miles, 180 to 200 miles. That's an altogether different kettle of fish now. The EVs now suit virtually everybody, and those that do longer journeys, it is now quite feasible to do that. And the more obviously you drive, the more you save. So actually, those that do the higher mileage, excluding maybe your business drivers that go up and down the motorway every day, it does suit those people now. And as you say, the more you do, the more you save. So yes, it's great. And again, I always used to say to people, what is more convenient? Your fuel station is at your home. You don't have to go anywhere to fuel up. You just literally have to spend sort of 5 seconds at the end of your day plugging your car in. And these days, with the tariffs that are available in the various different energy companies, it's so much cheaper to charge your EV. So it literally is a no-brainer now for those that are doing more distance. Get yourself an EV. The more you do, the more you save.
I can honestly say, if we'd have had this conversation 6 months ago, we were looking at a second-hand Seat Arona, top of the Model 1, diesel, because my wife wanted something that was automatic, and we wanted something fairly fuel efficient. As soon as I went in the 208 and the Leaf, my perceptions on EV changed so much. It was unbelievable. It sounds really cliche, but it's kind of changed the way I'm thinking about vehicles in general. And 100%, when I come to renew my car, because we're getting my wife's car next, when I come to renew my car, it's not going to be an ICE car. It's going to be an EV. There's, you know, just.
And I think that is the thing is, for those out there who haven't driven an EV, you need to get in and drive one. And Nissan did this very well in the early days. They used to give people a car for 7 days. And people used to absolutely love it. And it just sold the car. They then changed it to 4 days, because what they were finding is people were going in for 7 days and they just got so used to it after 7 days, they gave it back. And almost like the magic had rubbed off. So they gave it in for 4 days because they were still absolutely buzzing after 4 days. And you do want to make that change. And I think that is the key. It's such an easy car to drive, a smooth, refined car. It is a no-brainer. It literally is a better experience. And they are automatic, so you've no bother with your gears, etc. It just is so much easier car to drive, a nicer car to drive, you know, more refined, quicker than most petrol and diesel cars, you know, in normal driving. People just love them.
I think to the point of in terms of like the mileage as well, at a kind of separate point really to some degree. So like the mileage on an EV, when you're getting a second-hand EV, you have to have a different kind of shift in the way you're thinking. So a high mileage EV is going to perform exactly the same as it would have done when it had 2,000 miles in it, as it will have when it had 100,000 miles in it. The one thing you've got to check is the battery degradation, that it'll go the amount of miles you need to do, but as long as it'll do the amount of miles you need to do with what batteries left in it, which for the vast majority, apart from those, the kind of Japanese Leafs, will be majority of the batteries are left, so like 80-90% of the battery, even if it's done 100,000 miles, it's going to perform the same. And if you could pick out an ICE car that's on no servicing, like most EVs will have no servicing to speak of, that's done 100,000 miles and performs exactly the same, I'd be very, very surprised.
Yeah, and here another thing. Just to go slightly off topic, I've noticed as well. Have you guys seen the? I posted up on the Facebook page the OHME, the O charger that doing.
OHME, yeah.
That is a game changer. You can basically, it monitors the price of the electric from Octopus. It also does other providers, but it will charge your car up when you can set like a threshold, an upper threshold and lower one.
That's right.
It's below, I don't know, 5 pence, start charging your car. That is
and it will also say, so you can basically say, right, okay, well, I want car to be charged up to 80%, and you just charge it on the cheapest one for whatever rate it is. So it knows, with Octopus at least, you know how much the tariff is going to be. Is it a day before?
Yes.
So it knows how cheap they're going to be. It knows what the cheapest time is going to be. So it'll just do it whenever the cheapest time is, up to the charge you need to have in your car.
For example, today we've got a slot between 2:30 and 3. It's under 3 pence, but it's only just over 3 pence the half hour before. So I'm going to put it between 2 and 3 today. But I don't use the OMI cable because I tend to use the app and I don't charge all the time. So I've got one of those and I don't actually use it, Ivan. So I've spoken to OMI. Once you've got your EV, talk to me and I'll let you have that for a song.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it's literally just to try it because...
Ivan, if you don't want it, I'll take it off you for my sister.
Well, give Paul first refusal, as he's got the electric car anyway, so give Paul first refusal.
No, you're okay, he's offered it you first.
No, please. But one thing that sets the Octopus apart is the fact that they use the technology. And I also posted about, there's that program called IFTTT. Now, I know a couple of you guys have used this. Essentially, what it is it will take some kind of threshold, and it will then do something based on that threshold. So
yeah, it's if this then that, I think it is, isn't it? Something
that's
like that.
it. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is, once I get the agile tariff, I'll set up the IFTTT and I can actually post up a how-to guide, but it will actually alert you via email or whatever way you want to say, look, there's a price drop coming up. Think about charging your car. So it's just a really good time to be in the EV industry or in driving.
It's good, isn't it? Because it's sort of bridging the gap between the nerds and the car owners now. Because the nerds, like, if you excuse me for saying, but I'm.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
You'll have to enlighten me on this IFTT. I've seen it mentioned a couple of times, and I haven't got a clue what it is.
Yeah,
it's an algorithm, isn't it, for want of a better word.
In a complete nutshell, the name does exactly what it says on the tin. If this, then that. So if the price is less than £3 or 3 pence rather, send an email. If it's sunny outside, turn the lights off. It's just like a logic thing. If this is true, then do that. And you can do that for almost anything. So like Ivan says, if the price is low,
some of you might not know, but Octopus do email you when they get plunge pricing anyway. They do that automatically.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's kind of like an electronic flow chart almost. You make a decision, you have your start and then you have the outcome. And then you say, based on decisions, I want this to happen. But I IFTT for all my devices around home. So I've got smart light switches, smart bulbs, Google Home.
Right. You're ahead of me then, brilliant.
It's absolutely fantastic. And the fact that you can now use it for your car, it's brilliant. It's a great time to be into an EV.
I like it.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, I think from our point
grid out as well, aren't you?
Sorry, Chris?
I'm saying, I think one of the main points of it is to help balance out the grid.
Yeah.
During when there's excess energy being generated, so.
Yeah, I was really jealous of you guys who were on Agile that were getting minus 10 pence last weekend. Just
they're charging your car and giving you money. What more could you want?
Exactly.
Buy the car next.
Paul, there's an argument for your sister, charging your car and giving you money with the right tariff.
She'll go for that, yeah. I mean, obviously I'm going to get her to watch this afterwards, so it's another convincing argument for her. I'm hoping to swear that way next week. So I think it's Wednesday when we're going to start looking. So I want to show her a few ICE cars first, and then I want to hit her with an EV. There's one, I think there's one down London Road I think it's around about £89,000, so it's way out on her price thing. But if she can sit in it and have a little run round in it or something like that, we're halfway there, aren't we?
She hasn't got a chance, has she, Paul? She hasn't got a chance.
No, she doesn't know this yet. Her son does, actually. 'Cause I've been on Messenger with him, but she doesn't know.
Just to quickly interject, sorry guys, my time has run out. I'm afraid I've got to go and do some other stuff. But thank you for answering your questions earlier on. Like Paul says, I'll be watching it back later on and having some digging and pricing. But yeah, sorry, I'm going to have to shoot off. Time has run out.
Thanks, John.
Thanks all the best, everybody. See you all
Cheers,
soon.
John.
Take care, all.
Bye.
Bye.
One of the things I would say, sorry, for people who are looking for an EV, is that the kind of the benefits of Jonathan Porterfield and the way he is in terms of an EV dealership. So I don't know if everyone on this call knows him. I presume they do pretty much, but not everyone will do. So ecocars.net is the website he runs.
Yeah, he did a video last week, didn't he, on YouTube, which was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, so he will basically charge only a very small amount on top of the actual auction price, and it's basically you pay about £400 that you'll pay him for on top of whatever the auction price is, and then it'll just be delivery charge to get it to your home. And if you don't know about EVs, if you've got someone that doesn't know about EVs, you can just give him a specification of what you're looking for, and he will just give you the cheapest one that fits within your criteria. He's really knowledgeable, knows what he's doing. He's been in the EV industry selling electric cars for, 15 years now, pretty much, in little bits. So he knows exactly what he's doing. And his main mantra is that I am not trying to make money out of this. I'm just trying to make sure we get EVs into as many people's hands as possible. That's people like him, and as Darren knows, in terms of Will Adams at DSG, if you're looking for kind of a newer car,
I suppose,
he's
expert, isn't he?
Yeah, so he's really brilliant, really knowledgeable person, and I mean, obviously he's trying to make a profit. He's got a business that he works for. It's not his business, not like Jonathan Porterfield, but he will try his best to get you into the cheapest rate possible. So they're two good people to kind of that people should be referring to, I suppose, to get into EVs.
I have already messaged Jonathan Porterfield, and he's going to get back to me with something. It just needs a bit more details, and like as I said to Jonathan Porterfield, I've got to wait until I've actually got my sister sat in a Nissan Leaf and got her to drive one first, before like we can just say, right, Jonathan, get us a Nissan Leaf for the best spec you can get for say £6,500–7,000 or something like that.
Can you put a link on the Facebook page to both those people, because that helps some people in the future going forwad.
Or maybe
yeah, of course.
And document with traders, to be honest with you. I know one or two good independents we haven't mentioned. We'll have to discuss that. See if we can get a document with a whole list of people, like a resource.
Because there's people like Nick and who is a member of our group actually officially as well, isn't he? And the Cleveley EVs and things like that. They're really good people to speak to.
There's one in York, there's one in Lincolnshire near to us as a Yorkshire club called JD Cleve. He's a good little independent as well.
Yeah, and like Simmons, if you're looking for Teslas and things like that, whatever. So there's a big list that we could probably put together of really well-respected people that really know what they're talking about and will give you the best advice.
We'll do that.
Maybe that's something we can add to the website.
And that's good. That's good. We'll get that. We'll get a few together, and there'll be a go-to guide for people.
We've obviously got one on this meeting as well. That's a pretty good guide to go to speak to about certain cars, isn't there, Ian?
Well, me. I don't sell them anymore, but to be fair, whenever a customer walks in our dealership and mentions the word EV, and I love it. it's great. It brings me back to the days when I was selling them. I could sit and talk for hours with customers, and often do. But yeah, and that's what it is. I think that's why Nissan, when I started with Nissan, that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to put somebody in each dealership, the sort of 50 dealerships, that knew what they were talking about, and they were driving the cars, on a day-in-day basis. I was doing a commute from Beverley to Leeds every day, so I got to know the car very, very quickly. And I think that is what it's about. It is talking to people that know what they're talking about, helps people who are looking at buying EV. Because again, we're all nervous. It's a big change, for a lot of people. You want that advice. You want that continuing advice. So a lot of my customers will still ring me up, 2-3 years later, asking for advice. Because it is a journey. It's a different journey to petrol and diesel, but I guarantee you that every single person who did buy, nobody regretted it. Nobody came back and said, no, not enjoying this. Can I bring it back? It was always a case of absolutely loving it. We should have done it sooner. So it is worth, if you do go to a normal dealership, is ask if they do have somebody who does deal, because not all of the salespeople want to deal with EVs. They don't like it. They'll put you off, to sell you a petrol or a diesel car. So always ask that question: Does the dealership have somebody who deals with electric vehicles, or who has the knowledge to speak to you?
And one thing I would say,
I think that's a generally very good. Sorry.
Anyone that's watching this on YouTube, find an EV meeting near you, because go to an EV meeting and you'll find out everything you ever wanted to know, the good and the bad, about every different model. And there's EV meetings all over the country now, and so wherever you are, be it Yorkshire, Derbyshire, Sussex, Surrey, wherever, go to an EV meeting, and trust me, you'll find out everyone's friendly. There's always cake and coffee, so it's a no-brainer.
And it's a really good point. Sorry.
I always tell people that when they go to buy a car, just make up your mind up front, because the salesperson will push you whatever they want, or whatever they have to. So don't be at that end of that problem, because you don't know whether the salesperson you're going to approach is going to be have a similar sort of approach as you do. Be looking to sell actually EVs on those, for instance. So just always walk in and say, I want this and that and that, and just narrow down their scope. I think it's a good advice.
I've just got one more question. Well, I've just thought on actually. If my sister did buy an older Nissan Leaf, would she still be eligible for the £350 grant now, because they put a charger outside the house?
Yeah. So you get the grant if it's your first EV at an address, then you do get that government grant for the charge point.
That's handy.
And it depends what you get for used ones. Obviously, it applies as well. For new ones, certain car manufacturers, think Renault certainly, they give you a free one. Others may do subsidised ones. Peugeot again are doing free ones for X amount of customers. Might be continuing that. So yeah, you will get that grant towards that charge point. And again, it's worth doing your research on the charge point sometimes as well, because again, for people who have, for instance, have got solar panels, you might want to look at a specific brand of smart charger like a Zappi. Or you might, if you have the potential that you might put solar panels on at a later date, then again, it's worth getting that sort of charger installed then, because again, you can't get that grant again if you want to change to a different charger.
Yeah, and again, it's probably useful to get something on our page from the people who know about this kind of stuff and the benefits of each type of charger. So, like, there'll be some that you would have to rip up part of your driveway or something like that to put in an earthing rod for now, which I didn't have to do in the old kind of doing it. But there'll be some that you don't need to do that and things like that, and some that are more aesthetically pleasing. These are the kind of things that people will probably not ask when they first go to buy a car, because you think about them later. I mean, we obviously think about them because we know a lot about it. And think like, if they are going to get a new car, and we're encouraging people to basically learn about and hopefully see someone's already got one of their cars to learn about how you actually write a charge. I know I was nervous the first time I wrote a charge. I never actually done it before. A whole new world for me. And I think it'd be useful to have that kind of thing done there.
Yeah, I think, you know, lots of car dealerships have affiliations with different suppliers. You know, so for instance, Peugeot are linked to PodPoint, Nissan were linked to PodPoint and ChargeMaster. But you must remember, you don't have to do that. You know, if it's a free charger, then obviously you'd want to do that. But you can use that government grant with any charging company. So you're not specifically linked to the one that the garage may be linked to. You can go down your own route, choose somebody else, and they will apply for that grant on your behalf. So you don't have to do any of that paperwork. The company that install the charge point do that paperwork for you.
Just a quick one.
Yeah,
We're going to lose the meeting in 1 minute's time. So I'll wrap up the recorded section here, but I'll post the links again for people who want to start again, because we're on till 1 and we'll keep running that. So I'm going to end it now, and then I'll drop us all back. Obviously, if you need to go away and cook dinner, whatever, then by all means don't come back. But I'm just going to repost it in the same places as prior. Okay.
Yep, that's fine. Thank you.